A lot of differences between these boats, endurance boats and closed course racing. And you'll see some of that playing out. I'll point out Lino Araujo's boat setup as well as Georgi Kasha's, who's very unique. Beautiful, quiet day, and we're about to unleash the beasts. Course marshals in front, directing them. Ooh, I can already feel the nerves starting to pick up. They're thinking about it. 12 nations represented as we finish up our parade lap. Just getting a couple quick looks at the individual riders, to include Hilman Kurniawan on boat number 8. I really loved the quote yesterday from Lino Araujo's mechanic, and his quote was, I think, perfect for how to set up these boats for endurance. It's not about just getting the whole shot or having the fastest boat. You need to have a combination that is going to endure 40 minutes of pounding. And his comment to that is, we're not going to tweak it out the first day, maybe not as much the second day. We're just going to add a little bit more horsepower depending on where we are in the standings. And then, of course, we're going to go full bore on that final day if, in fact, Lino is in the hunt. And sure enough, in that second place position with only 1 point behind, I would imagine that they are starting to wick it up a little bit on the horsepower. But his quote was, we're going to let the race come to us. And I think that is truly a beautiful way to describe how these mechanics have to think when they set up these combinations. Final couple of turns as they bring these boats around. Now you're getting to see a very interesting elbow turn that's from the far right-hand side of the track. They actually take a very tight 180-degree turn back into the middle of the track. The track's shaped somewhat like a reverse or inverted arrow. This was one of the areas where we saw some great passing yesterday. It's Ramadina Kanina on boat number 11. Young lady is a fierce Indonesian racer, but just a joy to catch up with off the water. She was one that was sharing with me how fun the Aquabike qualifying championship was. Looking at some of the domed roofs that are very typical of this region, shaped like boats. And that is part of the Batak culture. There's Georgi Kasha. It was interesting, just taking a look at the stats coming into this round. Kasha has a very high percentage for getting top 5, but his hole shot percentages in endurance, he's only had a couple of years. He's had a couple of hole shots. But yesterday, adding that to the list is going to jump him right up into the 40 percentage, 35% of the hole shots. So impressive run for Georgi Kasha. Yesterday's endurance runs. Man, Agays. Oh my gosh. AKA brilliant. Photo Sifon last night messaged me, actually, Siki, the gentleman that had been helping him. Siki and the Thai team have been working with Brilliant both on training and underneath the hood, helping build out those boats, and it has made a tremendous impact on him. He did very well in the Aquabike championships and the qualifiers, and then with yesterday's back-to-back consistencies in the racing, he's looking really, really good. 2 second-place finishes for Agays. If you're watching him right now, that's boat 69. I really love the wrap on that boat as well. That is Kamara Pramudia. That was on boat 12, and there's Jay Finlinson. The double nickel. Brand new to this Aquabike Tour. He's been quite successful on the American tours. Here's the double deuce. That is Anthony Radatek, our new UIM ambassador. There's Kylie Elmers on boat 13. Fadri Abdillah. Boat 47. I love the thumbs up. Ready to rock. Again, Kumara Prumudia. And you're looking at those pontoons. That's going to come into play Saturday, Friday and Saturday. Or excuse me, Saturday and Sunday this weekend for the closed course racing. There's Lino Araujo in second. Only 1 point separating him and Eges. Georgi Kasha only 4 points off the lead. And I had been talking to you about the setup, but this is such a great chance to just take a look. You can see he's not even sitting down in that seat, but you see how upright, and actually those handlebars are even pushed back a little bit. He drops down. It almost is, to me, reminiscent of go-kart racing. I mean, he is pushed down pretty deep into that hole. Then when you see Lino Araujo, Lino's setup is pretty different. He's more upright. He's more forward on the boat. And of course, all of that is individual preference. And I'll tell you who I don't see, and that is a bummer. I was really hoping that Isahai Hajime, the multiple world champion out of Japan, I was hoping he'd make it back out on the water, but he imploded a piston yesterday. And that is not good when you don't have a backup engine. So he was desperately looking for a 300 yesterday afternoon in the pits, and I just don't think they were able to get one for him. Whistles blowing. That's indicating to the riders that they are ready for that 1 minute start. And the flag is up, indicating the time is on. Again, we have 1 minute countdown, and then it's going to go to green. They're in a regatta start, which means they're circling to the left. Timing here is critical, and the only thing that they are focused on is, will I have my nose pointed in the right direction when that flag drops and the green flag pops up? And you can see it's starting to get a little bit more tense on the line as we get closer to the green flag start. This is going to be the first moto of day 2. And this is where it's going to count for the bunny, and the green flag is up. We're off. Looks like Lino Araujo got a good start. Georgi Kasha nailed it. Georgi Kasha with the whole shot as they rock their way over to the far left-hand side of the track. Eges Ratag right behind him. Brilliant start once again for Georgi Kasha. He is so multi-talented. Mechanic, racer, dad, runs a gym, runs a mechanic shop, builds a lot of boats around the world, and right now he is looking for some glory. And as they come around, it is going to be a whole shot for Georgi Kasha. Boom, baby. And Eges Ratag will be second. Double nickel. Jay Finlayson in third. Scott Phillips up in fourth. Bailey Cunningham in fifth. And we are out of the gate. Nice beginning for the gentleman from Hungary. So it's almost like a checklist, right? As you get going, it's like, all right, how'd I do in the start? And then the next thing is going to be this first 10 minutes. I need to go as fast as I possibly can, thinking about the fuel management. Am I going to be able to keep my fuel resources going throughout this? How's the boat sounding? That's sort of the first 10. Second 10 is going to be even crazier because you're still finding off where everybody is in these different positions. And then that third portion is going to be wicked And that is Lino Araujo making a big move on Cunningham. Got around. Nice. Lino Araujo was a little bit back in that start. He was not in the top 5. Right now he's making some pushing. And he is on Bailey. Nice pass for Lino Araujo. And speaking of passing, still trying to lock that down for Bailey. He does it as he comes to the front stretch. Lino Araujo shuts the door. Georgi Kasha still leading. Egges Ratag in second. Jay Finlayson, great start for the rider out of the U.S. In third, Scott Phillips up in fourth, and Lino Araujo in fifth. Bailey Cunningham in sixth, Kylie Elmers in seventh, Mikhail Wimley in eighth, Hillman Kurniiwan in ninth, Anthony Radatek up in top 10. Kadina Ramadina is 11th, Yoko Sosi in 12th, and Fikri Rajab in 13th. Let's do times. 1:19.424 for Georgi Kasha. That was that first lap. 1:21.149 for Egges Bertag. Egges Ratag, and a 1:23.758 for Jay Finlayson, a 1:24.877 for Scott Phillips. Lino Araujo with a 1:24.585, and a Bailey Cunningham, no slacker, man. He had a 1:26.318. Kylie Elmers with a 1:27.660. You're watching Scott Phillips. Oh, Lino Araujo is all over Scott Phillips. After getting around Bailey Cunningham, Lino has punched the clock and gone to work. And he is sweeping wide, trying to pick up Scott Phillips. What an incredible run. Lino Araujo goes on to that inside. He's trying to work the inside line on Scott. Unable to convert on that first turn off the front stretch, but wow. Great ride for the gentleman out of Portugal. Let me give you a little color on this. Lino Araujo in Mira, Portugal, got smacked off his boat and was knocked unconscious. Pretty serious injury for him. He was able, he obviously regained consciousness, got back to the hospital. They checked him out, but he was in a bit of a pickle in Mira, Portugal at the European Championship. They were not sure that he was going to be cleared to come and race this. Not only did he get cleared, but this last 2 days have proven what a warrior that gentleman is. I'm talking about boat 27 out of Portugal. Gentleman right behind Scott Phillips. Scott up in third. This guy out of Australia, a wicked competitor. He's here with Les Cook and Kylie Elmers, and Scott so far is holding off Lino. Lino drops to the insides, also pushing this line, trying to get some clean water. Scott's natural reaction when you've got somebody this close is he's going to try to shut the door, and you can see he's starting to steal that clean water from Lino Araujo. He is not going to make that pass easy on him. Last lap was a 1:17.684, fastest lap time thus far. That's interesting. It's in lap 3 that Georgi Kasha pulled the fastest lap time. Lino Araujo. What a story. He has fought back from so many injuries. I didn't even realize the story about Mira, Portugal. His sweetheart filled me in yesterday. To see him be able to charge back like this, he is just relentless. And also one of the most powerful athletes I've seen. Lino Araujo. Scott Phillips is playing a smart defensive game here. He continues to steal Lino's water. What I mean by that is the water that is coming off the back of these boats has got a lot of oxygen mixed into it, so it really creates a slick environment, or at least it feels that way to the rider, because it has a tendency to lift the boats up, so it creates instability. So the riders, just like in motocross, right, they want to try to find their own clean line. And Scott is making it difficult. He is definitely playing cat and mouse with Lino. We are early into this, though. It's only 7 minutes into this race, and already craziness unfolding. $117,684 for Georgi. Eges Ratag with a 120,227. Jay Finlinson with a 122,740. And Scott Phillips with a 122,506. Lino Arahu with a 122,515. Man. Too close for comfort for Scott. He is not going to be able to settle into this race and relax. So a lot of energy like that being kicked out that quick. The other thing it's going to do, it's forcing him to use more fuel. Again, these guys are not allowed to come in for a pit stop and refuel. You're watching Jay Finlinson on boat 55 up in third. And the drama right behind him has got to be getting him a little fired up as well, as Lino continuing to pressure Scott. Oh, here he comes. Lino picked up that momentum from the outside and sweeped from the far outside split. Still head-to-head, and now he's got the direct line on this next turn into the middle of the track. And as you can see, these guys are side by side. Scott a little bit more on top end. Guarantee Lino's mechanic is watching that. Lino Araujo in a battle with Scott Phillips. This is Australia going against Portugal. Nice setup from Scott Phillips. He stole the line again from Lino Araujo. He was going to be undenied as he comes into the line where he gets a push at it. Will he be able to outpower Phillips? Finally, get her done. Lino Araujo makes that pass. But Scott, outstanding job, sir. Hats off to you. That was incredible defensive racing. Georgi Kasha leading. Eges Ratag second. Jay Finlinson third. That's going to be next for Lino's gun sights, and you can see it. There's Jay Finlinson on this inside on the double nickel, the American rider that just jumped onto this tour for the first time. He has been wanting to come out on the Aquabike tour. He's out of Indiana, and right now he is face-to-face with the juggernaut from Portugal, Lino Araujo, who pushes into a pass on Jay Finlinson. He's in pass position. He's on that outside, and he just hit the boosters. Nice run. Jay's not done with him. Oh, Jay, you are spectacular. Well done, Jay. Hit the throttle, worked around. I do believe Lino's going to hold it, though. All right, that's going to put Lino Araujo up into the third place spot. Eges still going at it with Georgi Kasha, and there's your race leader out of Budapest, Hungary. I would imagine Ildi, his wife, is watching. Isn't it fun to see the different riding styles? Georgi's much more dropped down into that boat, and Lino Araujo, you can see that Lino Araujo is definitely a little bit set up different, much more forward-facing and much more forward-leaning on the boat, if you will, than Georgi. Georgi, to me, looks like he's go-kart racing, and I love watching him. Georgi was in a race in Nisa, Poland, and I don't know that a lot of people, it was not a televised, very small race, but it was spectacular. It was a amazing battle. He went off the boat early on. His seat, he was trying a new seat, and he went off the boat, spun the boat around, and because the seat came unhooked, seat went completely off, he went completely off. All of the competitors passed him. There were 24 riders in that field. Before the end of the race, he had gotten back up on the boat and had passed every single racer to take the win. It was one of the most spectacular comebacks I've ever seen, and that is exactly how Georgi Kasha likes to play. You can put him in any race condition, and he will never fail to awe and inspire. And that is your race leader, Georgi Kasha, with a 1:21.234 on that last lap. Eges Ratag with a 1:24.202. Lino Araujo in third with a 1:21.179. Jay Finlinson with a 1:26.002 in fourth. And Scott Phillips with a 1:25.728 in fifth. Bailey Cunningham solid at sixth with a 1:24.571. Kylie Elmers with a 1:24.818. And Kylie is only 0.9 seconds off of Bailey Cunningham. Kylie on boat 13, Bailey Cunningham on boat 28. Georgi Kasha with that full wetsuit. Looks like he's wearing a windbreaker out there. He was a huge part of developing the new seats, those new custom seats that you have been watching on the race circuit for the past decade. Georgi Kasha and Kylie Elmers both worked on inventing those. In fact, if I remember correctly, Les Cook had challenged, Les Cook was the owner of a Sea-Doo Center out of Melbourne, Australia, had actually challenged Kylie because she kept complaining about the seats. And he gave her a big piece of foam and said, fine, develop a new one. And that is exactly how these new seats came about. They're much deeper. They allow the rider a much more comfortable fit. The back of the seat, in fact, you can actually see this on Ege's Ratag. See the back of that seat supporting all the way up to their hips? That is what I'm talking about. That is a completely separate design and an aftermarket seat. All right, once again, 1:22.926 for Georgi Kasha. And a 1:28.973 on that last lap for Egis Ratag. Lino Araujo with a 1:26.535 in third. And I would imagine that Lino is starting to reel in, or at least try to reel in these top riders. He is 4 seconds behind Egis Ratag, and Egis Ratag is 33 seconds behind Georgi Kasha. You can see your top riders, far left-hand side of that track. And, of course, the background of Balagay, an incredible community that we are hanging out with all week, right here in the island of Sumatra. Wow. You know, that difference was 10.9 seconds between Lino Araujo and Egis Ratag, and that dropped to 6.2, and now it's a 4.47. Yeah, whoa is right. And as we'd mentioned before, Kylie Elmers and Bailey Cunningham are dueling. There is Scott Phillips on the outside. He's in fifth. Bailey's making a run at him, and Kylie Elmers is making a run at both of them. There's Bailey Cunningham out of Australia, another brand new rider on the Aquabike scene. Very well-known rider in Australia, and his whole family has been big into racing for the past decade. Just one of the coolest people. He lives in Brisbane, actually. 26 years old. Said he wants to be the #1 runabout rider in Australia. Here's Scott Phillips. And as you can see, Phillips in fifth, working through some lap traffic. Phillips and Cunningham and Elmers in a three-way brawl. And Scott Phillips trying to hold off Bailey Cunningham. Again, Bailey Cunningham's first time on this tour, one-time New Zealand champ, multiple state champion. Scott Phillips once again finding himself in the game of defense. Oh, Bailey. Bailey looked like he was hanging on by his fingernails on that turn. Well done did not let off the throttle. And he said he was just a wee bit tired from yesterday. Now, these guys are very, very strict. We run under Olympic Committee rulings. So one of the things that they're not allowed to do is take pain medication of any kind, to include aspirin and ibuprofen. So, and a lot of times we go through these drug tests. So these guys are dealing with, hey, if you're sore, stretch. He was definitely feeling it, he said. There's Kylie Elmers. He had a great comeback yesterday, making his way back up to 8th, but it was partly a mechanical issue that caused him to drop to 13th. So Cunningham is pushing. Well done, sir. And you can see Kylie Elmers just to the far left of that screen. And Bailey is locked in, trying to hunt down Scott Phillips. Scott, this is your battle for 5th, as we are 17:53 into it. By the way, Bailey is sponsored by Sunshine Coast Power Sports and Jet Tribe, just to name a few. Look at Kylie pushing him on the outside split. Now listen, this young lady is one of the heroes in this sport. She's a mechanic, a multiple world champion, both endurance, offshore endurance, as well as lake endurance. She's also a closed course racer and a stand-up racer, and just insanely powerful on the water. She also has a very low BS filter, so it's entertaining to get interviews with her, because she pretty much will tell you how it is. You're watching Kylie Elmers, the young lady out of Australia. She's originally from New Zealand. She'll tell you that she rides for New Zealand, but she lives in Melbourne. Works with the Sea-Doo Center with Les Cook, her partner, and between those two, it's usually always super fun to hang out in their tents. By the way, Scott Phillips has joined in their tents this weekend, and she is on the hunt for her fellow countryman, Bailey Cunningham. Oh, goodness, just trying to lock in. There's Jay Finlinson, your 4th place, and that is so cool to see this gentleman out of Indiana, rides for Ignite Race Fuel. His dad, Brian Finlinson, had already been regaling us online with his impressions of Indonesia, which were hilarious. And Brilliant continues to hold off Lino Araujo. And there's Scott Phillips in some lap traffic, your 5th place rider. We're still kind of locked in on that battle between Scott and Bailey Cunningham. Oh, they got trading little eyeballs there. Scott Phillips, 4th place. Let's take a look. 5th place is a 1:27.929. 5 seconds off of Jay Finlinson. Scott's been riding a really amazing last 2 days on pretty much, as they had indicated, a stocker. A lot of these boats out here are just barely above stock. Jay Finlinson, I think, was aboard one of those as well, but just a super well-built combination. And Jay Finlinson had been talking about all the help that he had gotten from Anthony Ratatek to get these guys over here this weekend. And there's your race leader once again. Georgi Kasha, his last lap as we hit the 20:48 mark. 1:25.044. We're on lap number 14. Egace with the 1:23.670. It's about 30 seconds behind Georgi Kasha. And Lino Araujo with a 1:27.091. Lino unleashed the beast early in this race, giving himself just a little pause before he kicks it to the next gear and again goes after these race leaders. So Brilliant again is 12.5 seconds ahead of Lino Araujo. Jay Finlinson's only 11 seconds off of Lino. Jay is starting to pick into the after gear here. 21:41 into it. That dogleg turn to me is one of the trickier ones. So you come from that far outside, and then you've got to take that 180 turn and then yet another 180 turn. And that puts them right back into the middle of the track. Yesterday, the waves through there looked very complicated, and having to manage that, particularly if you're getting a lot of pressure, will make this even more tricky. But with the flat water conditions today, I'm not seeing very much drama. Inside of there is Bailey. Again, 6th place. And he's got troubles in every direction. There's Kylie Elmers hunting Bailey Cunningham. She's got a very signature style, just rolls her shoulders over. She almost rides a little bit with her back hunched. Just, it's wild to see her, but she's incredibly relaxed in that position, and seems to be a good riding position for Kylie. So she too rides fairly deep into those seats, the way she's designed it, but she is a little bit shorter than Georgi Kasha. Kylie's all of 5'2". Georgi much closer to 6 foot, so he rides even deeper back into that boat as far as the seat positions. Bailey Cunningham off to the left of that screen, and looks like Kylie Elmer's trying to sweep to the outside. Oh, and she does a nice setup on that one. She is now head-to-head with Bailey Cunningham. That took 2 laps, almost 3 laps for her to get that close. Bailey Cunningham saw her, went to the next level, played a little defense, swept wider, pushed her out deep. And that's going to cost her a little time as they hit the front stretch. So how wide do those elbows go, Mr. Cunningham? Because she is putting a lot of pressure on you. Let's take a look at times. Bailey Cunningham with a 1:27 on lap 16. Kylie Elmers with a 1:26.009. Nice defense on that turn. Another quick right-hand turn. Oh, Kylie tried to duck underneath his shoulder, go to the inside. You saw the back end of her boat squirt out just a little bit, came unhooked just a tiny bit. That, too, is going to cost her. Nice setup there. She's going to set up for this next left-hand turn, try to sweep him on the outside. Bailey Cunningham watching her and playing a smart move. And this seems to be the area of the track she continues to pick up. No way. This is the second time Georgi Kasha has had boat problems. Yesterday, if you guys remember, Georgi Kasha had led the race for 20 laps, and then it went straight downhill. He had an oil leak, and it was like a quick fix with the gasket. Able to get back going. Not sure. He had his hood up, so whatever it was, maybe he's got it. No, he's still looking back, so he's still got problems. So now he's going to try to milk it. We're only 25 minutes. We've got a 40-minute moto. Will that boat continue? It's not looking good for Georgi Kasha. What a heartbreak. The gentleman that was in third and had been leading this race is now, oh, you can see the engine is starting to smoke out of the back of that boat. He's done, unfortunately. Oh, Georgi, that's just not a good feeling. Not a good feeling for Georgi. That does put Egis Ratag into the lead. And Lino Araujo will now automatically move up into second as the nightmare continues for the gentleman out of Hungary. Man, my heart goes out to him for that one. Georgi Kasha dealing with that engine starting to smoke pretty seriously. Course marshals were over there as they check out the rider and make sure that he is okay, but Georgi will be out of this one. Tough break for such a legend. Bailey Cunningham still dealing with Miss Elmer's in the house. All right, she's sweeping wide. That's a front stretch that they're coming up on. Cunningham takes that inside line. Kylie Elmer's continuing to stay in his rearview mirror. Now, there are two schools of thought, if you will, for this. If you are the kind of racer where you want to just sneak up and try to hide until you're ready to take the pass, you probably would have worked more a bit on that inside. Also, it depends on how the track lays out and what's going to be ideal for passing. If, on the other hand, you want to see if you could play a little psychology, quite often it's a good idea to come to that outside split and you just push yourself up there where they can see the nose of your boat. Now, that is a prime opportunity for a new or novice rider. We call it getting in your head, right? We want to get into your head, let you start thinking about us on our boat versus what you're trying to do on your boat. The minute that you do that, you start moving backwards. So Kylie's a sharp cookie. I have no doubt that she's playing a little psychology with Bailey. The trick, though, is Bailey is one of those sleeper agents, in my humble opinion. Oh, God, Corgi. You're going to break our hearts. This is so heartbreaking to see. This gentleman has earned the right to these podiums after so many years of racing. I've watched him win so many championships. It's really tough when you see the boat let you down like that. It happens, part of racing. So anyway, back to the Kylie Bailey story as it continues to unfold. Bailey is this sleeper agent, my humble opinion. He's got this kind of soft, easygoing look when he's in the pits. But I do notice a complete change of personality when he gets behind the wheel. He's quite the animal on the track. So I don't know that the psychology that Kylie's playing is going to work. Let's see. Meanwhile, we've been getting the quick cutaways back to our race leader, was our race leader. Our new race leader, however, is on the front stretch. That is Ekes Raktag, Photosifan Sikaran, and the Thai team has got to be lighting it up at home as we talk about this incredible story of this gentleman out of Indonesia. His nickname is brilliant. He's a student out of Jakarta. Also a very humble, very fun rider off the track. I got a chance to interview him briefly yesterday. It was just a joy to hang out with him and the entire Indonesian team. And something really cool about these countries that come out and compete, and obviously Indonesia is not only no exception, but they really do raise the bar on collaboration. All of the team members were supporting Eges yesterday, even the other competitors over there congratulating him and shouting him out. He got quite a few of the media over there interviewing him, and he's just as humble and fun as always. You're watching Eges Raktag, your race leader. Lap time for Eges on lap number 20 was 1:24.647. Lino Araujo with a 1:2.6175. Lino's playing consistent. He had a big move from oh gosh, he was really not even in the top five. I'd have said in that starting first lineup, first lap, he was back in 8th or 9th and moved all the way up into 2nd. So an incredible charge for Lino right now. He is cruising through this next 10 minutes. The difference between Kylie and Bailey is 1.56 seconds. Oh, Bailey Cunningham, I don't know how you're taking the pressure, dude. You're amazing. Bailey Cunningham, that endurance boat built by Sunshine Coast Power Sports. Giving them a shout out for Bailey. You can see a lot of the riders with these GoPro cameras on. There's two reasons for that. I think it's important that the rider is able to record what happens, but it's also a powerful tool. If you get a penalty and you want to protest that penalty, race footage and having your race footage too will also help with that. There's Jay Finlinson on the double nickel, gentleman out of Indiana. Him and Brian have just been absolute joys on several of the tours in the U.S. He's quite a top contender in the United States. Great to see him on the international stage, and he's doing incredibly well for his first go out of the gate. He's in 3rd. Jay Finlinson with a 1:27.375 on lap 21. Said he likes racing sports. He likes racing, sports, and cards. Going to have to ask him about that one. He's a partner with his dad for JBR Property Management. And a lot of these riders have stories behind the race numbers. The double nickel, that's been Jay's number since he said he was little in whatever sport he does. So he just keeps bringing it forward regardless. Used to play baseball, and that was his number in baseball as well. You just got an opportunity to see Georgi Kasha in the background as Agnes Rattag comes through. Man, oh man. Young 16-year-old student out of Jakarta, Indonesia. There's Jay, your third-place rider. And him and his dad, Brian, so excited to be over here. Anthony Ratatek really helped these guys get over. And, of course, the Aquabike crew, too, helping and bringing them on for the tour. He's a tremendous closed course racer as well, so I suspect we'll be seeing him in closed course. Lino Araujo. You are incredible. All the way back in mid-pack to the second place as 33 minutes and 23 seconds on the clock. And right now, Lino is playing a very smart game. Now, I've talked about the other riders and the riding styles. Take a look at Lino. It's completely separate. He's so much more upright. You're going to see him quite a lot. He's going to move that weight distribution onto his upper thigh. He's going to stand. A lot of the French riders and even the Portuguese riders will switch back and forth between standing and sitting in endurance racing. Truly, it's a personal preference on how they feel most comfortable on the boat. It is a lot more risky, I will say, when you're standing, but as much as these guys train, no dramas. Lino Araujo, Portuguese rider who came back from that accident in Mira, Portugal for the European Championship Tour. And to see him out on the water, it's just nothing less than a true miracle of determination. And really, I would say if you look up the definition of grit, this gentleman's picture should be in it. Just a great rider. He's not one to back off either in a side-to-side battle, as you were watching earlier as he was making these passes with Jay Finlinson and Scott Phillips. And he's quite relentless, but it's interesting that his riding style is non-aggressive. And what I mean by that is he's not going to take unnecessary risks. He's more of a, what I would say, a gymnast style, a very finesse style on the water. Between that and this stance really provides a beautiful alternative. And here he is, as you can see, standing. Pushing forward on the boat. The boat setup has, the combination has him more forward on that boat. And look how quiet the boat is throughout the water. It is well hooked up. You can see this intake grate and the setup. All the intake grates are back towards the back third of the boat. But that is where the water is coming in underneath the boat, and that's what provides the propulsion through the back. It goes in through the intake grate and back out through the pump in the back of the boat. So it's critical that these boats stay hooked up, because that is everything that the engine is trying to do, create that momentum. But the boat, if it's out of the water, it's not going forward for sure. Whoa, Scott Phillips and Kylie Elmers at it. Kylie got around Bailey Cunningham. And now she's hunting Scott. She's just out for Australia today. First she takes over Bailey's spot, and then she moves into Scott Phillips' back pocket. I'm like, what's up? Did you not get your latte this morning? Kylie Elmers, if you ever want to get on her good side, give her a latte in the morning. Vanilla, preferably. Not sure if she was able to find that in Balagi this AM. Maybe that's why she's going so fast. She's decaffeinated, which would never be good. Scott Phillips is back into the position of serious defense. So he's going to run much tighter to these buoys coming into these turns, and he is going to play smart as Kylie begins the hunt for another Australian rider. Here's your rundown once again. Agays Ratag with a 1:27.915 on lap number 25. Lino Araujo with a 1:34.569. I really do feel like Lino's playing a smart game and just preserving that boat. He's in second. In third on lap 25, Jay Finlinson with a 1:26.520, and he is gaining time on Lino Araujo. He's only 6 seconds off of Lino. Scott Phillips in fourth with a 1:25.298. And Kylie Elmer's on lap 25 with a 1:27.128. She's 2 seconds off of Scott Phillips. Not comfortable. Oh, and Anthony Ratatek just pulled a time penalty. He's up in seventh place. He's got a 1:27.031. Bailey Cunningham in sixth with a 1:29.536. Scott Phillips has got to try to find some extra horsepower if possible and hold off Miss Elmer's, the indomitable. Scott Phillips, 17% chance of penalties in his last couple of years in endurance. His nickname is Scotty. He's 43 years fast, business owner of an air conditioning company. Probably no need for AC at the moment. Horsepower, yes, and fuel, yes. So here's the challenge. When you keep getting pressured like this, you're having to use more fuel than you really want to. That's probably the other thing that Lino is doing. These guys have got to watch their fuel gauges. Bailey Cunningham was down below E yesterday on that final lap. So as if there's not pressure enough in endurance, we've got to add the factor that you only get one take of gas. Good luck. Enjoy. So Scott now in the tricky position. At some point, he might have to make a decision, let her go and get around him, or keep pushing and hope that he makes it to the end. We've got 38 minutes, only a minute left on the clock. Point could be mute here pretty quick for Scott Phillips and Kylie Elmers as they continue. He's still holding her off. He's fourth, Kylie in fifth. There's the double nickel, Jay Finlinson in third. Jay with only 3 seconds off of Lino Araujo's pace. And you can see Lino right up just passing that red buoy. Jay Finlinson right behind him. Lino also has got to be thinking about fuel. And there is Agays Ratag, your 16-year-old student out of Jakarta, Indonesia, styling with just a few minutes left, a few seconds left to go. 39.46. And I would imagine the Indonesian team, I'm surprised I'm not hearing them already, frankly. And the fans here in Balagay got to be pretty lit up as well. Agays Ratag, the Thai guys, I'm sure very excited to see the results unfold here as we get ready to give Agays Ratag another win. Woo! We're just moments away. He's on the left-hand side of the track as we come onto it. Now, if he hits this front stretch, he's not going to have a problem. It's for 40 minutes and 23 seconds. So as he hits this front stretch, this is going to be the win for him. But had he come in under, he would have had to do another lap. Look at Ege standing up. Boom, baby. Very exciting for Agays Ratag. He's just got to hit the front stretch, come through these checkered buoys, and that is going to be a wrap. And you can see our production team getting set up, and the crowd's also lighting up as Agays Ratag takes the win in Moto number 1. Boom, baby. Well done. Well done in Indonesian. Ow! I'm going to have to figure out the word for Indonesian congratulations. Jay is only 3 seconds behind Lino Araujo, but that isn't going to be the factor. He doesn't make it in time. So your second place is going to go to Lino Araujo. Lino Araujo takes second place. Jay Finlinson hits it for third. Scott Phillips comes across in fourth. How in the world he held Kylie Elmers off, I do not know. Well done, though, sir. Kylie Elmers will be fifth, Bailey Cunningham sixth, Anthony Ratatek is under a penalty, but seventh so far on the clock. And Hillman Kearney-Ewan will be eighth, Mikhail Wimley ninth, and Kanino Ramadina will be 10th. Outstanding. As they come back in, you can see the crowds going nuts. And, of course, his teammates congratulating Eges Ratag. Jay Finlinson, well done, sir. Got to be very happy with that finish. Eges, you are amazing. Team comes up, gets him some water. And already you can see the media starting to come down there. Our brand director in the background there, Emanuela Rotu. Woo, what a great race this morning. Lino Araujo on boat 27. Actually, this is a great opportunity to see his setup. Look how that seat is designed. His team is going to help him get that boat back up on the trailers. And then the very first order of business for these top 5 riders, they will have to go back and get a little visit or, if you would, an appointment with technical inspection. Always good times. Then once they go back into tech, get a little chance to work on the boats, and then after that, after the second moto, they'll go back into inbound. Well, I don't know about you, but I just now caught up with my breath. That was a lot of fun. Scott Phillips just rolling in. I'm sure him and Kylie are going to have a conversation. That was super fun to watch those guys racing. Really, really fantastic. Just zooming in now on Georgi Kasha and his team. And, man, I have to say, of all of the stories that happened this morning, that was the toughest to watch. Georgi Kasha, after a really splendiferous whole shot, and then over half of the race leading, having to deal with an engine problem of that level. And, man, when you're seeing smoke come out of the back of the boat, it's not a great feeling. So Georgi's going to have to do a little work back in the pits today, put it together, and you can see him and his teammates just taking a quick look at that. I love the fact that he advertises on that boat, shopkaza5.com. This guy has made some of the fastest boats in the world over his career. And by the way, the way to say congratulations in Indonesian, Bagas Sekali. Hope I said that right. Or Selamat. All right, you guys, this is moto number 1 of 2. Don't go too far. We've got a lot coming at you this afternoon. We're going to have the exact same one. Here is our final results. Eges Ratag with the win in this first moto. Lino Araujo will be second. Jay Finlinson third. Scott Phillips fourth. Kylie Elmers in fifth. Bailey Kenningham will be in sixth. Looks like we are going to have to deal with a penalty for Anthony Radatek in seventh. Let's see where that moves him. Hillman Korniawan will be 8th, Mikhail Wimley 9th, and Kadina Ramadina rounds out your top 10. You can see the rest of that lineup. And Georgi Kasha, sadly, will be down in 16th. So that is going to put the hurt on him. He was in 3rd coming into this second day of racing. Well, you've been watching the UIM ABP Endurance Grand Prix of Indonesia right here in Lake Toba. And this was moto number 1 of day 2 of 3 very grueling days of racing. And these riders are just taking a quick break. There's Kanina Ramadina. Well, on that note, you guys, as these guys take a break, I tell you what, we will too. Thanks so much for joining me this morning. You've been watching the Aquabike World Championship, the Grand Prix of Lake Toba, right here in Balagay, Indonesia. We'll see you soon.